What's up, brothers? Welcome to Locked In with Drew and Wes.
That was good.
That was good.
That was fucking good. That's crazy. That is crazy. Hey, what is up, guys? And welcome back to the Locked In with Drew and Wes podcast.
Let's go.
Very awesome. There's a lot of stuff to talk about. I hope you guys enjoyed our first episode with our first guest.
Yep.
Last time, Brett. Let me know. Well, let us know if you want him back. Definitely can cover some wing stuff. They need to pick it up so we can talk about some playoff talk. But
yeah, they need to get back into contention. So.
Yeah. Today was not the best game. We're recording this on the 29th. Not the best game. Well, I guess the 28th, actually. But anyways, looking at the first game of the Tigers season.
Yes, opening day.
Yes, 1-0. We had a pretty good pitching day, all things considered. I mean, of course, when you shut someone out, of course, it's a great pitching
It's gotta have some good pitching during that.
Yes. Tarik Skubal had a great day. 6 innings pitched, allowed 3 hits. And yeah, he had 6 strikeouts and no walks. Didn't give up any runs. And yeah, he had a great day. He looked very confident out there. He was throwing some really good pitches. And even I was seeing some people talking about he didn't look exactly on his game. And that's exactly what you want to see is a shutout through 6 innings. And he didn't look
look like his best yet. So.
Yeah. First game as, getting the jitters out, whatever it is you want to say. Maybe it's getting back into the game mold.
Yep.
And yeah, today was a pretty good start. The bullpen had a very good outing as well. No hits after Skubal sat down. We had a great showing. Shelby Miller had a strikeout. Andrew Caffin, I believe. He is new, so I don't know exactly how to pronounce that. He looks a lot like, what's his name? Phil Koch of prior Tigers seasons. Okay. Guy who's just like, he just feels like a rough Texan type of dude.
Okay.
And he pitches a lot like him, too. But he had 2 strikeouts. And Jason Foley, guy who's been around for a little bit, closing it out with 2 strikeouts. It was a pretty good day, pitching-wise. That's
a good day.
And, yeah, it was not the most insane hitting game because, I believe it was a total of 9 total hits on the game.
Yeah, that's not a lot.
No. But
9 innings.
the hitting on our side, we, of course, had some lackluster moments. But in the 8th inning, we had bases loaded, 2 outs. Matt Vierling came up, and he struck out. There was big potential for possibly an 8th inning, get some runs in. We could have a lot more, and the game could be looked at a little differently if better at bat right there.
Yeah.
It's game 1, and Vierling had a pretty decent day, so I'm not going to hold too much on it. And luckily, earlier in the game, Baez got on base, made his way to third, and then Ibanez, I believe is how you pronounce that. He hit a deep line out and sacrifice fly, and he scored. So that was good. We're starting off things great. I did like that AJ Hinch added Kerry Carpenter in as he's a left-handed batter. Left-handed pitcher was a starter. Once they went to the right, okay, let's get Kerry back in.
Yeah.
Now we still have that good matchup. And I'm a big fan of Kerry Carpenter. Think he's a really good fielder. And I think his bat was pretty hot last year.
Yeah.
So, I'm excited. Torkelson had a pretty good day, 2 of 4. Riley Green didn't have a great day, 0 of 4. But still had some good plays out in the field. It was a pretty good day, all things considered. I mean, this Tigers team has some optimism behind it. A young group. First season in a long time not having Miguel Cabrera on the roster. And now I think it's time for these young guys to step up, have some new additions, and I'm excited to see this.
Yeah.
And we're definitely going to be checking them out, talking about them as the year goes on, and hopefully we can fight for our division and see about playoffs.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
Miggy, man. No Miggy.
It's a little different for sure. I think Miggy is around the club for sure. I don't remember his role.
He probably is.
But I've seen him in pictures at practices and stuff like that. I know he was supposed to move into a front office position, but I've seen him out at practice, so I think he's kind of just doing his own thing.
He probably is. I mean, he gets to as well,
Right.
He's big history here, so.
Right. And I think last year, and a lot of people were saying we probably should have loaded off on him earlier in his career just because as he got later into his 30s. You could definitely see he wasn't the same guy anymore, and he was getting paid as what he was prior.
Yeah.
But at the same time, having him still around for the guys, being a good leader, a coach, and mentor, and also just a guy that retired in a Tigers jersey is something that's very valuable.
I think that's valuable. That's very valuable.
And I mean, as someone, I was able to go to the final game of Miggy's.
Yeah.
It was a great experience. I think it was a great way for all of us to show our appreciation for him, and he was definitely very appreciative, as you could see that day. And the showing there also was like amazing. How many people were at that game?
Yeah,
it was crazy.
There's a lot of people just out there watching Miggy.
Yeah, and
his last few at bats.
Unfortunately, I didn't have a great day that day, but also probably a lot of pressure too, being your last game.
Probably.
Because you probably wanted to hit a home run and everything.
Probably wanted at least a couple.
Yeah.
He wanted a couple, probably.
But at the same time, I think that he rolled out in the sunset, and now we have the new guys to build around. Guys like Riley Green, Torkelson, Kenny Carpenter, Cole Keith, and just even in the pitching staff, Tarik Skubal and guys like that. So there's plenty of guys. Even Casey Mize, hopefully can build his way back up. I believe he made the MLB roster, so I think we might see him.
Okay.
He's coming off Tommy John's, so
serious
surgery, but he's a very young guy and a former top pick. So we'll have to see on that. But getting kind of off the Tigers, moving on to the Lions. Cameron Sutton, I've already made my video on it. We haven't heard Wesley on the situation about that stuff, but there definitely is more context to add since then. Rod Wood, the president of the Detroit Lions, said that Cameron Sutton was actually in the practice facility with
trying to practice or work out or something.
Yeah, and he was acting as if he didn't have a warrant on him. And then Rod Wood and a couple other people apparently said they came down and talked to Cam and
he thought nobody knew.
I don't know. But the Lions said that they found out when the news broke. They did not hear anything more. Sure. Which honestly, he probably wouldn't have been allowed in the building if they knew. But then they said that they told him basically he should turn himself in and maybe seek some help with that. Because if you're doing that, you might want some mental and psychological help a little bit. He left, and the next day they didn't have any contact, and he was released. So I guess looking at that now, a position that we thought was kind of a little tied up.
We thought was tied up, but
now losing probably our cornerback 2, maybe cornerback 3, however you feel about Amik Robertson. But
Mosley's coming back too, man. We're just throwing Mosley under the bus. He's got to be competing with these guys.
I know.
He's gonna be out there.
I'm just not too sold on his injuries. I think he came back. He's back in a cheaper deal. I'm really excited for him. I hope he can stay healthy.
I mean, people get injured all the time. Friggin' Jets paid Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, and right, but he is coming off.
Back, like
I know, but he is coming off 2 torn.
It's
ACLs, not Achilles, right? I think it's ACLs.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Do you want, with the guys that are available? We have Stephon Gilmore available. We have Xavier Howard. Earlier we were talking about trades for Greg Newsome.
Another guy is Tre'Davious White is still out there. I'm pretty sure.
I think he actually signed with the Rams.
Did he sign with the Rams? Okay.
That was a 1-year, $8 or $10 million deal, which might also affect how much Stephon Gilmore is gonna want. Because I mean, White is very good, but White is also coming off an injury, and he's like, "Well, I'm not." You know what I mean? So that might be a.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Contracts are a little interesting too because of there's an age difference there too, but I don't know. But there's plenty of guys still out there for sure.
There is, and there's guys that aren't as big name as those guys too that could fill that position. But we definitely gotta probably make a move sooner rather than later to make sure we get a guy that we want and that can help this DB room be what we want it to be this season. Right. Because the way that we're going about it, we're trying to make this one of our strengths. So.
Right. And I we both checked out that Brad Holmes presser, the one I think it was in the 26th or something. He was talking about.
Yeah, it was the 26th. Yep.
Talking about just like free agency. He's kind of like having like answering open questions, and one of the things was about the hole, and he said that, I mean, he felt comfortable with the guys he brought in, but also, you know, he thinks that cornerback is a position that you need to always draft. He said that
cornerback is a position that you never have enough guys of.
Right.
And he said that he said he could say that about plenty of other positions too, but he is right about that.
Mm-hmm.
Like injuries with Mosley, like situations, you know.
Right.
Cornerback is tough, and you need guys that can step in and play a big role. And you need plenty of guys there that you're not going to have one guy go down, and then you're putting Vildor on Justin Jefferson. And then you're like, oh, geez, what's going on?
Right.
You know? So,
and
I think he's right.
The way things shook up last year, I mean, it went from Jerry Jacobs being the cornerback 2 to not being on the roster a couple of weeks later.
Yeah.
So it's just like...
a lot happens with that position.
And it's a hot and cold position. I mean...
yeah, it is.
You ride your hot hand, and if someone's getting burned a lot, it's hard to want to play him.
Yeah.
And I think that was where Vildor stepped up and compared to Jacobs.
He did.
I mean...
and then we watched the Ayuk freaking face pop, and then at the end of the season, but yeah.
Yeah, right. But with that being said, there also is the draft, of course. Brad Holmes has a great track record.
I think he was talking about, like, you know, we might look to sign another guy, and we'll probably look to draft another guy. I think he said, like, he's never gone through a draft without drafting a cornerback player or a nickel position, is what he said.
Yeah.
So we're gonna get a guy, whatever round it is, you know, probably doesn't matter that much, you know, but give some more guys in there to see what they can do.
Right. And I think for the most part, he's not exactly wrong. I think Effie Melifonwu, I think, originally came in as a cornerback, transferred into more of a safety hybrid type of thing. And then, I mean, Brian Branch is
last year.
Yeah, so, like, for the most part, I think that's pretty true. I don't know if he exactly attacked cornerback specifically the position, but I think
he said cornerback / like nickel.
Right.
So whatever you want to define that as, but guys who can play in the secondary, we'll say that.
Right. And there's plenty of guys in this draft. I mean, the fan favorite, of course, is probably Kool-Aid McKinstry.
Kool-Aid, yep.
Alabama product. I mean, Brad went to that pro day.
Yeah, I think Brad's scoping him out.
And
at least a little bit.
That would be very interesting. He loves his Bama boys.
He does love his Bama players.
So, I mean, with that being said, I wouldn't be against it for sure. I mean, right now, I'm not going to lie. I am pretty lackluster with how much not that I care, but how much I'm going to instantly react to a pick. You know what I mean? I think my reaction is just going to kind of be like, if it's my guy, then I am going to be happy.
Right.
But I'm not, there's no like, not
There's
happy.
no like, oh, this guy, and then you're like, oh, you know.
It's more like okay, let me look into this guy. Maybe Brad saw something I didn't.
Yeah, and we've done that too, where we're like, oh, you know, let's look in this guy, and then they're like, wow, this guy looks really good, you know.
Right.
Laporta, when we brought, was it Laporta? Was that the pre-draft thing, or was that when we? I think it was a pre-draft thing where we were interviewing him, and like we seen his interview, you know, Laporta's interview, and it's like, can you run block? And he's like, yes, I love physically dominating other people. And it's like, okay, this guy's a monster, you know? And they're like, you know, do you got hands? Can you catch a high ball? He's like, oh, yeah, I feel like I have the best hands that I can be, you know? And he was saying, like, you know, there's always room for improvement, but he was definitely saying, like, yeah, I'm a beast.
Right.
And I was like, yeah, that's why we got him, you know? You can see how this stuff added up, which is really cool. So I trust Brad, and he's going to talk to the guys that he wants, and we're gonna fit them into our culture for sure. Right.
And I mean, this draft overall is very interesting at being a quarterback draft. Us not really needing that position.
Yeah.
Us maybe that's a good thing for, you know, possible later round guys that still have big value, because these guys might be getting kind of pushed under the rug compared to a lot of quarterback prospects.
Oh yeah.
Because I mean, realistically, you
guys get pushed down the board, man.
You have Caleb, you have Jaden, you have Drake, you have JJ, you have Bo, you have Penix. You still guys.
There's guys like Joe Milton that have had really good days and have looked really good in their showings. So.
Right, and there's sleeper guys also that are going to be probably taken later, 3 and 4, and maybe even later type guys are probably gonna be like your Aiden O'Connells of the NFL and stuff like that. But there's
Tyson Badgent's freaking.
But it's gonna be very interesting to see where Brad goes with the pick. We're really counting down to
We are
the draft coming to Detroit. The plan definitely is for to be foot on the ground at the NFL draft, covering some stuff.
Yeah.
Probably shooting at least some clips that I can make for YouTube Shorts while we're there.
Yeah.
Eventually, talking about a podcast when we're back. Whatever maybe we'll shoot a podcast after each day or something like that.
We'll come back and we'll be like, oh my gosh, Brad Holm just drafted. You know.
It would. The only thing is now compared to last year having 2 picks, unfortunately we only have 1 first-round pick. And it's a later one, but Brad could trade up as
Brad
well.
doing some crazy stuff.
Right.
Or he could, with what we have built now, he could be content with like, okay, yeah, sure, give me. Don't we have like 2 seconds though? I think we have a couple seconds.
I think that one was traded for.
Was it the Carlton trade?
Yes, I think that's the unfortunate thing.
No, it's not unfortunate. We got Carlton Davis, man.
I know. I'm just looking at this as if. It would have been very crazy.
That means Brad likes what he has on this team, and he's using his resources because he's like, dude, I can just keep hitting guys in the draft. I don't need all these picks. I'm going to go grab this guy that we already know of. That's been in the league. That's a veteran presence, especially for the DB room. Losing Cam Sutton, you know what I mean? And of course, that happened after, but that was one of our veteran DBs. So now we got Carlton Davis. Amik Robertson, young little bulldog coming in the room. You know? Like...
I did see Dan was talking about him in his presser, and he said a lot of people see his 5'9" height. He doesn't play like he's 5'9".
No, he does not.
He's got that ball hawk. He's got that dog mentality, and I'm excited. I think
he's got that I want to prove it to everybody mentality. Yes. That's what he's got.
That formerly hung up here, no longer hung up here. C.J. Gardner-Johnson. Now we replaced him with J-Mo.
Prime prospect for breakout this season.
Yes. So that with Josh Reynolds signing to the Denver Broncos 2 years up to $14 million, Jameson Williams is definitely going to have an impact.
He should see a lot more targets.
For sure.
You know who I'm also hoping is going to get in those roles too is DPJ, dude. I want to see DPJ in his young self do some good stuff out there.
Yeah.
I want to see him ball. I really do.
Yeah.
I want to see him in golf click it some more, dude, and practice this offseason, get it together, and I think he's a good prospect. I think he's a really good young player.
And I think the thing about it is a lot of people were like, oh, well, the chemistry with Josh and Goff. And also I want to say that I wanted Josh to come back. I was not. A lot of people are still very upset about the 49ers game. And you know what? You could be rightfully so. That was our game that could have went to the Super Bowl. But I'm not going to put that. I'm not going to put that entire game and say
the entire game was not on him. But could he have helped us get through those tough moments in the game? Yes, he could have helped us.
Right. The play overall wasn't the best in the second half, that's for sure.
No.
And part of it was Josh Reynolds. Other parts were, of course, defensively and even offensively with Gibbs' fumble. There's a lot of things.
Gibbs' fumble, that didn't help.
Yeah,
that didn't help. But he's a rookie, man.
Like
for him to even be there and get that work like that, like that's insane.
Oh yeah,
but,
for sure.
Yeah, that's just a learning moment for him,
Right.
Sure. After that, he's like, dude, just throw me outside. I'm gonna burn everybody next time. Just throw him outside. Because like that, throwing Gibbs at the middle, you do it sometimes, but maybe we do it more this year with Zeiler, but he's definitely you want to put him on the edge. You want to let him beat people because that's what he's gonna do. He's gonna do it every time too if you give him that chance. So let Panay pull around the side and just let Panay kills that one guy and then Gibbs is just.
I do want to ask. We'll get back in the wide receiver room, but I didn't want to know. Do you think the Lions now have the best offensive line in the NFL? The Eagles did take a hit. Jason Kelsey not being there anymore. The Rams did get a click up, of course, with their retaining their guard and adding Jonah.
They did.
But there's plenty of other great units. Cleveland's got a great unit.
Yes, Cleveland does.
Baltimore did lose Zeiler. That's a hit to their unit.
Yeah. Yes, we do. Panay is what? Is this Panay's 4th year now?
Yes.
This will be Panay's 4th year.
Yes.
So Penei Sewell's 4th year, best PPF grade in the league, by the way, for run blocking at least.
Yeah, run block. Yeah.
So there you go. He's like 24, 23 doing that. That's our tackle. You go over Taylor Decker, a guy that we picked up, right? That we drafted, and that's been here the whole time. That's been a solid rock on that other tackle side.
Right.
We have Frank Ragnow, who can put his knee in the dirt and stop Vita Vea in his face. You have Kevin Zeitler, Pro Bowl lineman, added for Jonah Jackson. Jonah Jackson was a great lineman. Liked seeing him out there. But if Zeit continues his play at this high of a level, oh my gosh. Graham, the resurgence of Graham Glasgow.
Yeah.
Being a freaking monster beast on that other guard position.
Yeah.
Playing in between Penei and Frank. Like, dude, yes. There's nobody's O-line is. You know, if the Eagles stole Kelsey, they're definitely with the same tier as us. But losing Kelsey, that's tough. That was our Frank, you know what I mean? And then we picked up a Zeit, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, come on. We have the best O-line. We have the best young running back. I don't care about no Bijan. I don't care about no Bijan, dude. Gibbs, man.
Do we have the best running back in the North? That's my you can say it's a hot take. I think Jahmyr Gibbs is Josh Jacobs.
Great running back.
Great running back. You're not Jahmyr Gibbs.
He's not.
Aaron Jones. Great running back. You're not Jahmyr Gibbs.
You're not Jahmyr Gibbs.
DeAndre Swift. We replaced you with Jahmyr Gibbs. And we still had a great year last year. But rookie Jahmyr Gibbs sharing the backfield, getting 945 yards.
At the beginning of the season, didn't even do anything.
Yes.
He didn't even do anything for first 5-6 games. Barely did anything.
Yes. And we're looking at a guy who had over 1,000 all-purpose yards. A guy who
had over 10 plus touchdowns.
Yes. And we're looking at
this is rookie Jahmyr Gibbs.
Right.
Sharing with Montgomery. And he's still going to be sharing. They're still both going to be sharing. Because Monty's here for 2 more years.
It's getting me nasty. That's definitely the best RB duo in the league. Bleacher Report actually came out with that a couple weeks ago, ranking duos, and that was number one. Duo. And I mean, I'm not gonna lie, if Aaron Jones stayed on the Packers, they'd definitely give us a run for their money.
Oh yeah,
for sure.
I would if it was Jones and Josh Jacobs, they probably got us beat. They probably got us beat. But if you just have Josh, you just have Aaron, you don't have us beat. I'm sorry. Right. You don't.
Right.
And you pair up, we got the best running back duo in the league with what we just said is the best O-line in the league. Scary things.
And that's a good combat compared to some guys that, like the Giants, how they added Burns to their already good defensive line, Will Anderson Jr. and now a Danielle Hunter, and even then,
the Giants,
the Texans.
You said the Giants.
Sorry, the Giants before adding the Burns.
The Giants added Burns with Dexter and Kayvon.
Yes, with the already great line. And then Texans adding, with Will Anderson already there, adding a Danielle Hunter.
Yeah.
There we go. And just look, and then also even the Raiders having a Max Crosby and a
Christian Wilkins.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's plenty of great other ones.
That's going to be scary too.
I haven't looked at the schedule. I don't know how many of those guys actually, I guess, are going to be on. I mean, you still have a great D-line and the Steelers too. There's plenty of, the AFC actually has some very nasty. AFC is kind of crazy right now.
Yeah.
But with that being said, adding to this O-line, making it just something that now we were winning in the trenches, but I think it got better, and I think it got cheaper.
Yeah.
I think it got cheaper and better.
Because the Rams paid a bag for Jonah.
Yes.
And I feel like we got the better lineman. I feel like we did.
And now...
And yes, he's at the end of his career, but dude.
And Zeitler is a guy that I hope is going to be like... He's going to be a constant, right? But then likely going to draft a guard in this draft, I feel like. That could be a guy that can really show some serious... I mean, of course, you got a lot of great guys to also do the same thing. But that's a guy who's been in the league for a long time, longer than anyone else on the offensive line. And a guy who is a Pro Bowl talent that you can put and be like, hey, learn behind this guy. You're play the same position. Learn behind him. Yes, you can talk to Graham.
Learning for Kobe as well.
Right, absolutely. Sorsdale.
We'll see how he does. Second year in the league, man.
Right.
He might get some minutes. He might see some time when people need some breathers.
Right. And also looking at just he was able to step in during some injuries, and he didn't do bad at all.
No, he did not.
And it's great to have these guys and not have to force him into a situation, but if something happens,
let him filter in and figure it out.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think it's gonna be good for sure. And now we have the best running back in the North, in my opinion, best offensive line in the NFL, and if we can add to this wide receiver core possibly in the draft,
which is still one of the better wide receiver cores. I mean, St. Brown and J-Mo.
If J-Mo reaches his ceiling, it's an absolute, you know what I mean?
It's an absolute thing, but even on that, dude, he can run too.
Oh, yeah.
We handed him the ball off in that 49ers game. That was the longest rushing touchdown by a receiver in... Is it playoffs or was it just?
It was I think it was NFC? Second. I think it was the second longest.
Was the second longest?
Yeah.
Dude. He's multi-talented, dude.
Mm-hmm.
He's not just a one-trick pony. I'll tell you that.
Right. And keeping Ben Johnson is even a
Ben
thing
Johnson.
That everyone has to remember.
Ben, let's not just run up the middle every play though.
But keeping Ben, now he's got a better O-line to scheme with, and addressing this wide receiver room, because Josh left, there's a possibility that maybe they get a guy like Xavier Legette or something like that.
That would be a first round pick probably, but
right.
There's guys like Jermaine Burton later in the draft.
Mm-hmm.
We always joke about what's his name?
Johnny Wilson.
The
6'7".
6'7" freaking receiver, dude.
Right.
He could be a later round draft pick too. Maybe they're looking at him. I don't know.
I mean, not putting a lot of pressure onto this guy. He was a 7th round pick, but Antoine Green is still
here, man.
A guy that Brad liked. So hopefully, we can see a role where he possibly could get some stuff. He had a good preseason last year. I remember that. Had a big burning touchdown.
Yeah.
And maybe the plan
some reps.
There's also, DJ Chark is still left reins. If you want to bring back him for that vertical guy, he looked very good when he was healthy in Detroit. His health, of course, is an issue.
Yes, it is.
But if he's a cheap deal, I wouldn't be opposed.
No, I wouldn't be opposed either. And we got the contacts with him. He was here, so it's not like he doesn't know about us, and we're probably in contact with him, being like, hey, we want a guy. So
right. And I mean, I don't know. That one hurt when he left last year. I'm not gonna lie.
Yep. I know you wanted him.
I probably would have wanted him over Reynolds. Even though Reynolds was under contract. You know what I mean? If I had to pick between the two, I think I would have. But at the same time,
now you're like, I want Reynolds. And now you're like,
It's tough just because Reynolds is such a consistent player and he stayed healthy.
And he's a big receiver, too. It's not like he's small or anything. Right. Or maybe he's a little under. He's not the fastest receiver, but that speed and route running makes up for it,
Right. And I hope him the best in Denver.
Yeah.
Don't know what his quarterback is going to be like.
Have fun. I don't know. I have no idea.
It could be a J.J. McCarthy. It could be a Jared Stidham if they don't end up getting a guy in the draft.
Jared Stidham.
It could be a Bo Nix.
It could be Joe Millen.
Could be Joe Millen.
Second round.
I mean,
they do that. I mean,
Penix. Penix doesn't have the. I mean, he's probably gonna be a first round guy, but with the Broncos holding, I think it was the 11th pick they have. I believe it's the 11th pick they have, or is it 12th? I think the Vikings have the 11th. They have 12th.
Yeah. I think you're right because Broncos right behind them.
Yes, so I think that's what it is. Anyways, it's definitely an early teens pick. They have. So with that being said, they're definitely gonna be in a position to grab a guy. It might not be the top guys.
It may not.
And looking at the current landscape of the former draft of having a lot of guys like the Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, Justin Fields, Trey Lance type of draft, there's definitely a.
They could have. Why don't you just hey Cowboys, you gave up they gave up a 5th for Trey Lance. We'll give you a 6th. I want to see him. I want to see him play.
Right.
Everybody just out the window. It doesn't get talked about. I want to see Trey Lance play.
You could trade a conditional 7th for Zach Wilson.
And want to die? Like,
I'm just saying.
That's terrible.
I'm just saying.
They could have. I mean,
could you revive him?
No. What do you mean? Could you revive him? You can't even throw to Garrett Wilson.
But what about Tim Patrick and Josh Reynolds and Colin Sutton?
Zach Wilson and Josh Reynolds too.
I'm just saying.
Championship hopes.
Well, you know, there's plenty of guys that were available. They could have seriously. They wanted to play it safe here, and like what they could have done is similar to what the Colts did last year, and probably what the Raiders are going to do this year, is they signed Gardner Minshew, and now they're probably going to draft a quarterback, and now they don't have to start that rookie. They have Minshew, a guy who is a solid guy that can.
But they didn't get anybody though, right?
No, they didn't. No, so that's what I'm saying. They kind of missed out on that window. I mean, so now I don't know what the whole plan is here.
They're just winging it, I think. They just wing it. That's what they're going for.
I don't know. All I know is
they're like, woo, party in Denver.
I don't know. It's a very...
I think they just don't want another guy that's going to say, Broncos country, let's ride. I think if the quarterback doesn't do that, I think they're okay.
Steelers nation, let's steal.
Let's steal.
That was like one of those things that like people are saying like instantly. Like,
oh yeah,
Sketch, like,
I seen that too.
Don't do that. Let's not do that, Ross. Because that would be like first win of the year, and he comes out and says that. Don't know how that's gonna blow.
Everybody like, oh, Pittsburgh's on fire because everybody's stealing. And
reports have it that Russell Wilson informed the city that they should go steal after their first win, and now the streets are rampant with constant thievery and looting.
I mean, I could see it. Just for us creating a
bunch of East Coast yinzers going crazy. But I guess getting back to the Lions, jerseys are coming out April 18th.
Yeah.
We're gonna have a little bit of a new look. I kind of like it. Brand new Lions, brand new look. That's exactly what I kind of.
We missed out on a year, but yeah.
I think we couldn't. I think there's regulation.
Oh, it's like a yearly. It's like a set thing, right?
Yeah, like a certain amount of years. Because we did have one with the Grays that recently came out. So like, I think there's a certain amount of years you have to keep it. But now, with that new blue head helmet, with that older logo, could be getting a nice jersey.
Yeah.
I'll definitely post some of the ones that we've been looking at on this edit here, but. There's some black ones, there's some lighter blue ones, some darker blue ones.
Yeah.
What do you, if you could pick, if you had a preference, what would yours be?
Dude, go with the black jerseys. We pulled up some Calvin Johnson in the black jerseys before this, and
yeah,
those look sick.
Give
me some J-Mo and St. Brown and Jameer Gibbs in our O-line, dude. I think we'd look like nasty. And we'd look scary out there, dude.
Like he was all black. Like he had like his sleeve. The
long socks were black. Yeah, he just looked like a demon out there.
If you have the visor or and then you have like the paint, like it just looks crazy. It looks very intimidating.
Yes,
it's just like you look like you're going to just destroy us, and I love that. So that would be very awesome. There's definitely some really great edits. And like Photoshop that there's done. So like the blue ones I'm putting on the screen right now, those look very cool.
Yes, they do.
The same brown one, I kind of like the silver. I kind of like the lighter color too.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's really gonna go as great compared to like if you had the black with that blue helmet, might make that blue helmet pop too.
Yeah.
But
it would.
The black is, I think, a fan favorite. I think I've been seeing a lot of stuff on like Twitter and a lot of stuff around. Just
think of like the guys that we got too and what they would look like in them too. Like
right.
Oh man, dude, our receivers would be just nasty out there, dude.
The only thing I'm wondering is if we've done the black, so are they not going to? You know what I mean? Are they gonna not make that? And also, it is a pretty big color change. You know what I mean? Compared to like a lighting or like a, you know what I mean? A different shade of what a pre-existing, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but you're like, I mean, you're doing the black, but the numbers are blue.
Right.
You know, the accents are blue. It's
right.
not like it's that far off.
Right. I would like the black. But I will say that I'm just wondering. I just don't know if it's going to be, and that's the thing.
We'll see.
I miss a lot of things I've seen with like logos now. They're very simplistic, and they use the term modern,
right,
and stuff like that, when it's really just very simplistic look.
Another term is ergonomic.
Yeah, stuff like that, which really I feel like just means make it more plain. As you saw, like the Eagles logo got changed, and it looks like not logo.
Oh, did it really?
Well, the wording. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Not the eagle itself.
Okay, I was gonna say I didn't see that.
Yeah, not the logo. Sorry. The when they have how they have the word eagle is different. The colors and I think there's not as many outside accents. It's more like a smoother outside instead of I think they have points or stuff like that. A lot of the old 2000s basketball and older 2000s stuff wasn't
the old Pistons with
the horse
and then the exhaust and everything.
Wait, this is my brother's hat. Never mind. I thought I had my Pistons hat on.
Yeah.
But anyways, then
that's a logo that's never changed. Right there.
What? Oh, the Red Wings. Yes. That's true.
Red Wings, dude. And that's not super simplistic. It's very intricate looking, and it just looks really good.
Right.
It looks so good. It's lasted the whole time.
Mm-hmm. No, I mean I don't know. That Pistons logo is just so nasty. I don't know. And then we went and we changed it, and even that change wasn't as bad as what I think it is now. Because it had a little bit more pop to it still. It was but now it's just almost it's plain. It's just not exactly what. But I mean, a lot of logos are kind of like that.
The Wizards logo is nasty.
Yeah, yeah.
That's nasty logo.
I don't know. It's just, I hope that it's black. I hope that it's an all black and we can have a really cool look, and it's gonna go back to maybe sometimes similar to what that Calvin Johnson jersey looked like back in that time. But they might look a different way to kind of make their own this generation look type of thing. I don't know. I could see it, but at the same time, I mean, I'm definitely hoping.
Yeah, I'm hoping for it too.
With that being said, the NFL, because of the owners meeting and stuff like that, owners and everything come together and they vote on rules and new stuff they want to do. The NFL is gonna look a little different next year.
Let's not tackle.
Not tackle. The hip drop tackle has been banned, outlawed, will be a flag, whatever way you want to call it. I definitely have, shown my feelings on this. I would definitely want to let Wes have the floor first.
What are you supposed to do? Didn't they say the definition was when you wrap both your arms and you drop your body?
And I think something about. Do you
weight. Have to land on their legs?
It's something I think it's with the legs falling under, and then it's something about weight. But it's another thing about weight with these defenders having to shift their weight while moving and trying to stop these offensive players that are already beasts.
Without dropping your weight, but when you wrap up, when you go, what do you do when you tackle? You wrap, and then their momentum is going. So you're not dropping weight, you're getting pulled, so then you're falling with them. I don't understand how you're gonna call this in a way that is gonna not look dumb as hell every game.
Right.
It's gonna look dumb every game. You're gonna be you're gonna watch somebody get tackled, you're gonna watch the next play, and then you're gonna call it, and then you're gonna be was that not just the same thing that just happened?
Yeah.
That's exactly what it's gonna be.
Right.
We're saying it right now, and that's what you're gonna watch. So
it's a thing too where it's so originally earlier 2010s around that time they wanted to start going less on the heads. Really a lot of concussion things were going on, a lot of people were going high.
That's fine.
Yeah. And so then that's fine, people were lowering down. So then some people were going a little lower. Now you're deemed a dirty player if you do that, aka Matthew Stafford calling Kirby Joseph a dirty player during that Rams game when he got Higbee. Now you're cutting away the middle. So we have about right here And we got
which is the hardest place to tackle somebody.
Yeah, and then you got like not your hip, not like your waist, probably like a little bit halfway down your thigh to like. You can't go to your shin.
You can't just smack knees because of the Minka.
Yep, and then you can't do that. You can't go down low at like the shins, ankles. Cause if you do that, you're a dirty player. What do you want these all? I mean, defensive players to do?
What are they gonna do? I don't know what you do to like.
And while you're doing this, I want to say right now, the hip drop tackle is completely. This is me hot take. Completely the offensive player's fault because they are fighting for more yards. If they aren't fighting for more yards, they're not getting. You said they're getting dragged. If you're not fighting for more yards, you aren't putting yourself in that position. Why is your legs going under? Because you're pushing forward.
That's a good take.
I don't want to like kick people when they're down. Mark Andrews had the hip drop tackle happen to him,
but he was
fighting for more yards. That's the problem. If you don't want to have this happen, I'm sorry, you got to play differently on offense too. You're making defenders play so differently, and then the offensive players just don't have to adapt.
Nope. It's a 15-yard penalty too.
Yes.
It's not even like a 5-yard. Like 15?
Yeah,
that's every time a first down.
Well, and defensive penalties overall are automatic first downs on a lot of them, compared to 5 yards on
offside.
Yeah, like. And false start and like but like and like fucking there's just so much on like holding. I mean holding is a pretty important one with 10 yards, but you keep your down too. Like you know what I mean?
Well, there's holding all the time that it never gets called.
Right.
Is that what they're gonna do with the hip drop or like?
I saw this thing on the Pat McAfee show, and I don't remember what like general manager or what it was, but he was talking on it, and he said that he thinks this is not going to be something that's called often. If that's true, why is it being added? You know what I mean?
Right.
There's no point in having something that's not going to be used. You're adding also, I saw someone say this, I don't remember who it was, the officials already had a pretty terrible year last year. Terrible. I mean, we can go to the Cowboys game, and we can just have fun with that.
I rewatched, I think it was the Commanders, and one of the receivers lining up on the outside, and then checking with the ref to make sure that they were positioned right. Yep. The ref went, and that same ref when the play started went,
instantly threw the flag.
Offsides.
Yeah.
What?
It doesn't make sense. And coming off a very bad year from officials, you add another thing that is not that is far from an easy thing to call. This is going to be all off basically what the ref thinks.
Whatever they want to
say.
Yeah. So any wrapping of arms, you could call that hip drop.
Yeah.
If you're not using your body weight to tackle, what are you using?
And I saw a lot of people saying, "Well, it's not that hard. Be a defensive player in the NFL, going and try to tackle Travis Kelce."
I was gonna say, be a 5'9" cornerback. That's Derrick Henry's running at you. What do you do?
Yes.
What do you do? You can't drop your body weight. And what do you do? And you die? What? Like you just get pushed and then like what?
And the penalty is severe. It's 15 yards. That's a personal foul. That's unsportsmanlike.
15 is terrible. They should not have made that 15. If you want to give it 10, whatever. But 15 is crazy. You're just gapping the field. You're just eating field up at that point.
Because if you're at the 30, now you're in the red zone. And you could have had no...
Went from the 30 to the 15.
Yeah.
That's insane. Because they tackled you.
Yeah.
It's terrible. It's terrible.
It's absolutely crazy. I understand that players are getting hurt and you want to protect players.
We're playing contact sport.
But, you know what? I'm going to call all the owners. I'm going to call every single one of them out. Except for maybe a select few that don't have this field. If you have turf field, you are not caring about the protection of players. And I'm sorry, Sheila Ham, but you, even though you have a better turf than, we paid more to have a more advanced turf, you still fall into these lines, but I'm calling you out.
Yeah.
Turf is not safe for players compared to regular grass.
Not even close.
If you cared, your financial responsibilities wouldn't matter, and you would replace that, and you would pay for the keep up, and you would do that correctly. Instead, you guys are banning something and making it a player problem instead of a field problem. the hip drop thing could also be the problem that you're digging into the turf and getting stuck in the turf.
You're getting stuck in the turf.
But no, we're talking about the players, and the players are the problem. Instead of you guys, a multi-billionaires and all this stuff in a $100 billion corporation could not throw out millions. You can't have
grass.
Yeah, you can't throw out millions to have a proper field. The fucking FIFA league and everything, or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
They, for soccer, they were going to MetLife, and so that they're bringing grass. That is Europe. That is like, you know what I mean? They aren't doing that. They're not playing on MetLife's turf, because MetLife's turf is also normally like known as terrible.
The worst.
So with that being said,
Rodgers,
Tracy Walker.
I
will not get over that. Tracy Walker's career could possibly be over because of that turf.
Yep.
And with that being said, we're looking at these owners being stingy enough to blame the players. The commissioner, Roger Goodell, stingy enough to blame the players when you guys are ignoring the biggest problem of it all, and it is turf fields.
It is turf fields.
It's turf fields, and it's the offensive players fighting for extra yards. But you know what? The biggest thing is turf fields. It's 100%. The biggest thing is turf fields. And I haven't thought about that a lot, and now really just putting it all together right now, it's just a disrespectful move towards the players.
Give our players grass.
Yes.
And give our players
like I said, I'm not holding any exclusivity. I am a Lions fan. We are Lions fans. I have liked most things that Sheila Hamp has done. I will call Sheila Hamp out and say that this is not right, and what you're doing is incorrect. Yes, like I said, I gave her small props because they put $800,000 or whatever it was into a better enhanced turf.
Why didn't you use that money just to make grass?
But why do we not? Yes, I understand. There's keep up. There's other things, but it's worth it for your players, because guess what? You're paying these players millions of dollars. If they aren't on the field, what are you getting from your investment? Apparently,
if you don't want higher risk of injury, give them the grass instead of we're gonna pay $800,000 for this crappy little plastic turf that you're jumping on concrete.
That players objectively don't want and objectively don't like.
Objectively, it's not like we're just saying this and the players are like, "No, I love my turf." No. You ask any player that plays on turf that's played on grass, they're like, no, they wanted to play on grass.
Back in high school, I've been on turf fields. I didn't play football, but I was at a basketball camp at a local college, and we were on that field. That turf, falling on it, it's not. There's no give.
It's hard.
It's hard, and you're like, that. Now imagine getting driven into that by 250-pound linebackers, 300-pound
defensive tackle.
Yeah. And
it's wonder why your players are getting
hurt. Offensive players, and I don't fault people for fighting for extra yards, but you know what I'm saying? You're now getting stuck in that. I understand that I previously blamed them for this hip drop rule, but objectively, the turf is number one in the problem. Yeah. And it's defensive players are already at a huge disadvantage, and it's just getting worse. And instead of financially going after the true problem, you're putting over it because billionaires are being cheap.
Yep.
Billionaires aren't... And it's not even that. It's poor investment handling as well.
It is poor investment handling.
I don't know why I have to give billionaires and a $100 billion company financial advice. But apparently they aren't looking at this correctly. And talking about...
They need grass, dude.
I think the Bills have turf. That winter game where the Dolphins played them in the playoffs, that thing probably felt like the worst.
Oh, yeah. Where it was just frigid.
Yeah. That's got to be the hardest thing.
Tua can't play in the cold. No, he's getting destroyed on frozen turf.
Yeah.
Yes, the ground freezes, but it's still not the same. Dude.
Right. And the Lions, they talked about against the Carolina Panthers. They have turf. That wasn't last year. That was the year before, when we were fighting for a playoff spot, and we had a terrible game against them.
Yeah.
They talked, and it was a very cold game, and they said it felt like playing on cement. It was a very terrible playing surface. They came out and said that. Why are we having this even be a discussion?
Why It doesn't need to be.
$100 billion corporation. And again, these franchises are worth billions, owned by billionaires.
Making more.
And you guys can't decide that we are going to make a conscious effort to make the players, the game, and everything else better. And once again, it does not cost billions. It costs probably single-digit millions.
Yeah, if that.
And once again, you're paying players that. So what is... You know what I mean?
You're paying players way more than that.
Yes. You're comfortable with giving...
One player,
Deshaun Watson, $200 and how much $million guaranteed, but you can't throw a few $1 million to have the field be proper.
Well, your first investment would maybe be $1 million, but like, dude, upkeep would not be that crazy, dude. Like, it really would not. And there's no way it would cost millions a year just to upkeep it.
And even if it did. The percentage of how much you're making.
I know.
You're definitely not gonna be cutting the profit.
You lose your star player because you didn't want grass.
Yeah.
And now nobody wants to go see your games because you don't have that player. You know.
It's just something that is very frustrating, and unfortunately, it's probably not gonna change. The billionaires are probably gonna stay cheap. And you know what? It sucks. I'm hoping Sheila Hamp changes this, but I can't control her. I can't control even a quarter of the league. And
hashtag GOPS. Give our players grass.
Get that trending on Twitter for us.
Get it going.
And we will be starting a movement.
Yeah.
Because at this point, we should
Stop giving us this dumb hip drop tackle. Shut up.
We should go fly out to the NFL headquarters, just like
knock on the door.
The president of Barstool did when I think it was when Tom Brady got a suspension. I think he got arrested, but
was that Dave?
That's Dave. I'm trying to remember his last name. But
that's Dave Portnoy.
Yeah, Dave Portnoy. I can't say his name. Okay, Dave. He did that and definitely brought attention to it for sure. Now, yeah. I don't know. That'd be fun, but I don't even know where their headquarters is even at. But with that being said, that is definitely, this turf thing is a problem, and the push her under the rug with this hip drop tackle is ludicrous. But I guess looking at another new look thing for this NFL, the kickoff, which actually, I mean, for injuries wise, might be the better thing for sure.
Yep. Yeah.
This one makes more sense than the hip drop tackle.
Oh yeah.
So the new kickoff thing, the kicker and the receiver will be the same spot. And now, from what I've seen, it's the XFL kickoff. If you haven't really seen it, and then it's around, I think the 35 is where the kicking guys will be on the receiving team's side of their 35, and then the 30 is where the blockers will be for the receiving team. And then. Yeah, it's going to be very different. The kicker, if he does not clear the ball, if he shanks it, I guess, and doesn't clear the blocker line for the receiving team, it is deemed as if he kicked it out of bounds, even if he didn't. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they'll get put up to like the 45.
Yeah.
And then I wonder, because we just talked about this, and I did not think about this until right before. I don't know where squib kicks now align. You know what I mean? And onside kicks also are kind of being taken out with this, and the only way that you can really do that, there's no surprise onside kicks. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because if you want to do an onside kick, you have to tell the official. The official will go tell the other team. So no longer will we have the fun part of special teams. I understand it wasn't the safest play, and I get that, but you're taking more from the game, which I don't love.
You are.
And there's no way to hide it now because the guy is about 20, 30 yards away from his guys, the kicker. There's no way to change that. And then also, what does that mean for lining up? Are you going to be there on your lining up?
I don't know.
Are you going to be on their 30? Because then I think a lot of people would go for that onside kick.
Yeah.
Because, oh, no, I don't get it. They're going to be on their own 30. Oh, you know what I mean? Oh, they're 10 yards above this 20-yard, but they are... there's a possibility we get the ball back in the red zone or close to the red zone.
Yeah.
So that's a I don't know. I've been looking at this as much as I've been able to see. I haven't seen and of course we are far away from it fully being implemented. That we are not even done with the offseason, not to the draft.
Yeah.
We're gonna see more and more that comes out about these rules. These rules are just announced. But like, I'm just wondering. There's a lot of things that seriously. There's a lot of questions that I don't think everyone's fully thinking about, or if there is, that no one's talking about it publicly.
Yeah.
And it's just, I don't know. Yeah, squib kicks. So now, I guess we're forcing a standard kickoff. I mean, you could kick it out and stuff like that and have a touchback, but besides that, and
you can't squib it because, like you said, you have to get it past your guys.
Yeah, and it's just like, I don't know. I do think overall, if there was a thing, it is safer this way. Because instead of having 30 yards of running, from the kicking team to go get that guy with these very athletic guys, I understand that. I'm just, it's gonna be weird. It's gonna be a weird look.
It is,
and it could be something that we might enjoy because the XFL had a lot of returns compared to NFL. Definitely not having a lower year in returns.
Yeah.
But with that being said, we're gonna have to see it to really know how this is gonna work.
Yeah, no kidding. It's gonna be interesting. See what they're doing.
It would be very fun to see if a Jameson Williams is back there, because that yardage difference is not very different now. You know what I mean? If he can get to the outside, if he can get a hole, that's pretty hard to cover too.
Scary.
That's kind of hard to cover. You almost like don't even want to press on a block because you want to almost stick back and be safer, because if you get burned, you're getting burned for 80 yards if that guy's quick.
Yeah.
So there's going to be a lot of stuff. I heard Dan Campbell come out about it, and he said he's excited to strategize with the special teams guy about it. So maybe
we got a weapon for it, that's for sure.
So maybe, Khalif,
even Khalif, I was gonna say even Khalif Raymond could put a little burn show on out there.
There's definitely plenty of guys that we have. We definitely have a very fast team. So I think that there's definitely potential for this to be a good move for us.
Yeah.
We're going to have to see what this is. You know what I mean? And a lot of this stuff is going to be interesting. I'm excited because it's different, but I don't know.
It is different.
I don't know how it's going to go. Well, I mean, I have a question. Would you rather be having this happen or have it not happen? Would you rather
just the
kicking? Just the kicking. But still having the injuries possibility of probably being a slightly higher.
Like, I'd be okay with it not happening.
Right.
Like, it would be the NFL, like it's always been. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
right.
It's gonna be a lot different.
It's
gonna look different.
Another thing too, college football is not like that. So now, are college players not gonna be prepared for these?
Wow. Yeah. Do you have to go to XFL first, maybe?
Like, it's just like, there's gonna be a lot of things that's like, well, now a returner from college is gonna have to like relearn how to return. I mean, which is not a big deal compared to like injuries, of course. It's just there's a lot of things to think about here. That's like,
there is.
I don't know exactly how this is gonna work.
Crazy that college is gonna stick like that, but the NFL is gonna be like, different.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll see some more college too though this year.
I don't know. There's a lot of things in football are changing. XFL and USFL merged and stuff like that. NIL money is recently added to college football. A lot of things going on in football is changing. So and now the stuff with the NFL. So the way NFL is going, and I understand that things need to be changed in ways to keep guys healthy, but I just don't know if these are going to be the exact fixes that are. I will remain on the turf train, but we're gonna just have to deal with that not happening for a little bit, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I guess something that's not a big deal, but something that kind of...
They finally woke up about.
Yeah, they woke up about. So you add a week to the NFL season, but you don't move back the trade deadline. They now do that, and now it makes more sense as now week 9 will be deemed halfway through the year.
Figure it out, guys. Figure it out.
Because it's 18 weeks this time. So with that being said, it'll be week 9 will be the trade deadline. And I think that'll be now pushing it into November instead of late October.
Yeah.
So we will see. That's gonna be different. I mean, more times for trade talks to happen.
Yeah.
Another
week of possible injuries, and then you're like, oh shoot,
Right.
Do we want to make a push? Do we do this? Maybe value comes into it in terms of like what you can get for people,
And now one more week of okay, we're gonna see where we're standing, because if you're 5-5 and then you fall and you're like, I don't know if we can make the playoffs. Do we really make a push to go get a guy to push us over the edge for playoffs?
Right.
Like, or stuff like that, or like there's just plenty of things that could be definitely different. And now having it a 1 week could definitely have positive. I think it's all positive for teams.
Yeah.
And like you said, I don't know. This was obvious. I kind of surprised it wasn't added the same time as the additional week.
It doesn't make any sense,
but we're here now. So
we're figuring it out. I'm telling you, slowly and surely.
The Lions actually did this challenge, or not challenge, but addition.
Got this changed.
Yeah, I got it changed. The coach third challenge will be awarded now if you get one of your first two challenges correct, or get it reversed, or whatever you want to call it.
Yep.
So I believe it was you could get a third one if you got both your first and your second challenge correct.
Right.
Now a little more wiggle room.
All you need to do is get at least one of these things right.
Right.
And you get a third time to challenge.
Right.
Which is the same as like having two.
Right. And I mean, you're getting a opportunity because
I mean that's another one that's like, oh, it makes sense.
Right.
Because if you get two of them and then you get a third one, okay, like.
Right.
Now you're just giving them more stuff to challenge, but like, oh, you miss one, okay, so then nothing changed.
Yeah.
But you got one.
Right.
And then you don't get another one. It's like, all right, well, what the heck?
Yeah.
Like, the one didn't even matter.
And now off a year that was a poor officiated year, you gotta think that these challenges are gonna. And especially if you're gonna have this. You know what I think though? I'm pretty sure. Because flags aren't reviewable. I don't think the hip drop tackle is going to be a reviewable thing. So now, this is, not to go backtrack, but that's another element to this. You know what I mean? But now, these challenges will at least help in an extent, as it won't be a time, hopefully it won't be a time where you're in before the last 2 minutes where you still can challenge in the fourth quarter and something game altering happens and you can still throw your challenge flag out there.
Yeah.
Because it's very unlikely, I feel like, that you're going to get 3 challenges done before the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
That'd be a very poorly officiated game.
Boy, we're seeing them.
I mean, we are seeing them. But with that being said, I think it's a good challenge. Good on the Lions for proposing it. I mean, I think it helps out a lot of people in the league. I think it's going to just hopefully help against bad calls.
Yeah, I hope so.
We want to see the best and the proper stuff happen. We don't want to see bad calls. I mean, we want to see the better team win, not the...
Bad calls are getting kind of ridiculous, but...
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, I guess...
Now we get to watch them call tackles, flags.
Yes. 15 yards, so being a first down. That's going to be great. I mean, I guess I don't know if it's automatic first down, though. I don't know.
Is it a Madden thing too?
I don't know.
You can't even put that in Madden.
I don't know. I miss.
Boom! You hit somebody in Madden. Madden's like, no.
Yeah, Madden overall is gonna have a weird time adding some of these additions.
They're gonna
the kickoff. Like, I wonder how that's gonna go. That's gonna be interesting.
Just because we play Madden, we look forward to playing our teams and rebuilding teams in terrible situations that they put themselves in.
Yeah. I am actually getting close, and I'm probably going to I don't know if I'm going to live stream it, I'm not sure, because the dogs in this house maybe won't allow that, but might just do a big recording and then either have a long version and then a short version and do a Lions rebuild after all the free agent stuff. That'd be kind of fun. But yeah, I wonder how Madden's going to do that next year. That's going to be crazy. And
they just keep advertising like, oh, better and cool new animations, and now it's like, oh, you can't have the animation where you tackle somebody. Does everything have to be a hit? Because what about hit sticks?
I don't know.
Hit sticks are just fine. You can just totally blow somebody's brains up, but you can't like use your body to attack. I don't understand.
I don't know. It's not.
Boom, clean. No, like what the heck, dude?
I know that the earlier 2000s was a very violent time in football, but I don't know if this is exactly the type of football. Honestly, if they're worried about people suing the league, right? Because then that's what the problem is. They don't want people to sue the league after for like CT and brain injuries and injuries overall, right?
That's where hit sticks come in.
But what I'm saying is I'm saying that what you need to do then, if you're worried about injuries, is you need to have these football players all sign a waiver at
clause,
training camp or stuff like that each year, so that you can basically be like, okay, we're
we told them that this is a possibility of playing, which it is.
When you're playing
you don't see
contact sports.
We're talking about, I'm going to go into hockey a little bit now, but like, you don't see all these hockey players going like, oh, well, they didn't tell me to wear a cage, so my teeth got knocked out. They don't say that.
Yeah.
You just see them walking around with fucking half their teeth in their mouth, dude.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
Yeah.
Like, it's what it is. Like, because you can wear a full cage or like a full like visor, but they don't. They just want the half visor. That's all they want. They don't care.
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you a lot. And I played with hockey players, younger, older. They don't care. They just want the half visor. That's all they want.
Right.
So if they hit their mouth, well, it's on them. You know, it's not like none of them are like, oh, they didn't tell me that the puck was gonna hit me in the face. It's like, okay, dude.
Right. Right.
That's what you're playing.
Right. It's just an expectation. I don't know. Anyways, our football is getting soft, but anyways, going to a new change also as replays. This is kind of going to be a little bit of reading by the book because we want to make this correct. You know what I mean? We want to pronounce this correctly so we don't give the wrong intention. So now replay assistants will be allowed to correct objectively incorrect calls for the intentional grounding or roughing the passer. Now that's actually not a bad move, especially roughing the passer. There's some really bad roughing the passers called. And now, upstairs can help with that and be like, let's look at this other. We saw a different angle. That's not
We're
that.
taking these refs out, and we're going like, oh, let's see this. You know.
Yeah. We're
let's
like,
watch
okay.
it back a couple times. Okay, no.
Yeah.
You know.
And that was going to help with error. I mean, I understand there's personal error, but now getting guys above that have replay, they can see that in real time. And then go fast forward and stuff like that, and rewind. We're gonna see. Hope that's a better. I mean, I like that move. That's
they have to be objectively incorrect calls though, is what it's saying.
So it's probably have to be blatant.
Pretty blatant.
Which that's a term. You know what I mean? Like that is terminology that is now. We're in a realm of what is objectively bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
How is that? That's just a bad call, or is that objectively a bad call? Is that objectively not roughing the passer?
How can you even say it's like objectively bad call?
You know what I mean? These things are not it's a case to case basis on these things. I don't know. That's like poor terminology for this. I guess that doesn't make me feel as comfortable now looking at exact terminology. But we'll have to see. Like I'm hoping it's for the good, but definitely could be lackluster use. And then what is the point?
Right.
I guess the replay will now be allowed when there is clear and obvious, again, that terminology, visual evidence that the game clock expired before a snap. Now the problem, and I talked about this before on the podcast, that doesn't help with delay of games, which is a serious thing that's been missed.
Yes.
And that one makes perfect sense if you had play clock. If you had play clock, you could look, because like I understand, the NFL referee is watching the game. They're not exactly going to look at the clock on the.
They're watching
that
to
one
make
makes
sure
sense.
positioning's right.
Yeah.
Lineups, formations, whatever. Non-offsides, offsides, and checking all that.
But if you have a guy upstairs that can be monitoring that themselves, and then because I mean,
you watch it run out while they're still sitting there. You know what I mean?
If it's a full second,
the play clock, not what they're saying, which is the game clock.
Right. And we're talking about something that I understand. The referees aren't really, they're watching the game, the formations, like you said. And then it's still subjective because they got to be like, well, a lot of the times that the referee's defensive, they have to look down at the football, see it's not snapped, and look at the clock and see it at 0.
Yeah.
That's giving a lot of wiggle room to the offense, which once again, with all of these new changes, is already having an advantage.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a and I saw a thing that the NFL wasn't the happiest with the lower scoring this season because scoring was down. I would like to respond to that with all the injuries to great players, which I wonder why. Maybe I'm just gonna leave artificial, and you can put the other word if you'd like. I'm not gonna even say it anymore because I've said it too much.
Yeah.
With that being said, I mean clear and obvious, but it's game clock. Does it really have a lot of impact on the game? I wish that word was play clock instead of game clock, but yeah. Maybe that means that we're gonna get closer, and maybe next year because
next year would be
it's baby steps with the NFL. Sometimes it really is. Okay, now another review change will be the ruling of passer down by contact or out of bounds before throwing a pass is now reviewable. So like it would be a diving play by a quarterback,
or he's running out of bounds, and he chucks it out, or Patrick Mahomes running to the sideline, maybe he gets close, he does a little underhand throw to freaking whoever it is, freaking Clyde or whatever.
Right. But again, I guess this one doesn't say objective or anything. So that one looks like it is going to be, you know what? Okay, if this happens, there's going to be a possibility that this review or these replays above can say, hey, he's out of bounds, and they stop play. Yep. They move it back to that spot.
Yep.
The only thing I'm worried about is this might slow down game pace. That's the only thing. But at the same time, I'd rather have it called correctly.
I'd rather have it called correctly than like worrying about how fast the game is going to be over with. I want to see the game called correctly.
Yeah.
That's what I want, man.
It's frustrating when that's not exactly happening. Another Lions rule change proposal. This one is about the playoffs. It is designated to return during playoffs. The teams will now have an unlimited amount of players designated to return transactions, which I think is going to mean, like injured players and stuff like that. I don't think...
Proposed by the Lions as well.
Right. And it's going to be like probably a thing so that you don't have to give up on injured players and stuff like that, but can add the replacements.
So that you have players for playoffs.
Right.
Yes.
Because, there's not a...
your James Houston.
Yeah, like your James Houston's this year and stuff like that, not having to cut your roster down to 53 and be like, well, we're going to keep this guy or whatever. I don't know. I like this move. I think it's a good move. I'm not mad at it. Yeah. 2 for 2 by the Lions. Good stuff. Two good moves. I don't know how many moves they proposed that got canceled, though, to be fair. I don't know how many rules they...
Well, how many other teams do you see up here with moves that they got approved?
True.
We have 2.
Granted, not all of them on my source had like who did it, but yes. This one is now a emergency quarterbacks rule. As emergency quarterback is the guy that if there is injuries to both the starters, this guy can be the emergency guy, but you can't like switch him out. You know what I mean? Like it has to have those 2 quarterbacks go down or be ejected or whatever. Yeah. With that being said, now this year...
but that third quarterback doesn't have to take up a roster spot.
Yeah, this year, they can be on the practice squad compared to being on the 53-man roster. Now, it's one more roster spot, but the use of that. So, like, to the Lions, they could have Hendon Hooker, Jared Goff, both as their quarterbacks on the roster. It would be right now a Nate Sudfeld on the practice squad.
Yeah.
Then, that roster spot is available for another player.
Are they under like an actual contract then?
On practice squad?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, practice squad players have a contract. It's just it's a cheaper contract, and I think it's a little unique with the terms and everything like that. But that does also leave
wondering for the QBs because say you're signing another QB to a roster,
right,
for a couple mil or something. And then he's on your practice squad, pay a couple mil for the guy in your practice squad, but...
Right. And I think there was, stuff about having, 3 QBs that was proposed last year, but, having... It's similar to this, I believe, but different terminology that didn't get through. But anyways, looking at this now, so like it'd be like a Nate Sudfeld that could be on your practice squad that
so they can like
not taking a roster spot, but could be there on game day and used if needed
without being on the 53-man roster.
But does that mean that they're? I mean, like, let's say you have a team of 3 good backup quarterbacks. You put one on the practice squad. Technically, that guy could go sign somewhere else to be on someone's 53-man. You're not having security, so there. You know what I mean? That's
why he's your third. That's you're not trying to keep. I mean, I guess it would be great, but that's not necessarily your probably plan. Of course, anything happens, but
right. I'm just thinking about a team that theoretically would have like their starter. Maybe you have a guy like it could be a similar right here. Jimmy Garoppolo. You have Trey Lance at the time, and you have Brock Purdy. So like maybe there's a chance that
Purdy on practice, then he gets.
But at that time, I guess Brock Purdy wasn't sought after. He was a 7th round pick. But it's that similar. It would be like that. Technically, he could have been nabbed. Because someone wants to offer their guy goes down.
Yeah.
Then now they can nab that guy out of practice squad and be like, hey, you want to have an active roster spot over here? I don't know. That's just a that's a way to think about it. At least I don't know. I mean, I think this is good.
No, that's definitely a way to think about it because it's like they spent so much on Trey Lance. Jimmy's been there. They know what he can do.
Right.
And then they just picked up Brock Purdy because they want another guy.
So now you're risking your 7th. I mean, it's a 7th round, but you're risking your 7th round pick. I mean, you're risking a guy you just drafted.
Yeah.
So, I mean, granted.
Yeah, that's gonna make teams think. That's it's just why those guys put in a lot of work though, because of all this stuff that they put in. Right. They'd be like, okay, we want to plan it out this way and do it this. And
right.
Just make sure that stuff isn't happening to your team.
Right. Right. But, I mean, we'll see. I'm not going to lie. Currently, how we would have it, I wouldn't care if Nate Sudfeld got snapped.
If you want Nate Sudfeld, come take him. Come have your spoils.
But, I guess, going on to, because March Madness is going on, I want to give a shout out to Oakland.
Big shout out.
University, local to us here in Michigan. They went over Kentucky. Huge upset. First NCAA tournament win for them in their program's history.
Wow.
Their coach has been around for 40 years at Oakland. Guy, I think gets his first tournament. Well, it was his first tournament win, of course, because it's first of the program.
Yeah.
But I want to say it was his first appearance, but I could be incorrect on that. I don't want to say that's fact. But that team was kind of fun to watch. I don't know if you. I was watching that.
I watched him shoot all of his threes. I've seen the highlights of him shooting all of his threes. That was crazy.
They have some good players on that team for sure.
He just kept pulling. Mm-hmm. He didn't care.
Former LaMelo Ball teammate when he was at Spire, Rocket Watts is on that team.
Really?
Yeah. So I mean, he was definitely not the I think he was more of a defensive guy on the point guard spot, and I don't know if he was exactly starting. I think he was behind Jack, but he definitely played bigger minutes. But Jack was definitely the biggest face of that.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he was 1-3 from tying the most in a NCAA tournament game.
Okay.
I'm like super confident on that. I'm very confident on that.
Wow.
I think he was tied in with like 3 other guys for second. But
wow. That's crazy.
Yeah. And unfortunately,
he's a baller.
Yeah, I just see his thing. He's a 3-point shooter. He just shoots threes.
Yeah.
The guy had throughout the year had 8 inside the yard shots.
Yep, I seen that. He's a shooter. Yeah. That's all he does.
Yeah.
That's his only thing, and they just let him shoot.
Yeah. And that's the thing in Kentucky. I mean, Kentucky, they did not after. How do you let this guy torch you, and you're not making adjustments? It felt like you were giving, because I mean, if you watch the highlights, a lot of it's off screen, hedging. You know what I mean? Let's have your other guy that's guarding that screener hedge up.
Yeah.
You can get a pick off and get a fast break, or you can at least you're up here and now he doesn't have an open 3.
Yeah.
Because if Jack was open, it felt like he was really on, and he was probably gonna make it.
He didn't even have to be open.
Yeah,
he was just jumping over people and just.
That was I was hoping they would go further.
Pop.
Because that would have been such a shimmer for that. Like.
Oh yeah.
That would have been. I was super excited about Oakland and stuff like that, and then I just once they lost, I kind of got a little depressed and I stopped. And also, my bracket was completely dumpstered after.
Except for
I picked Oakland. I picked Oakland on my bracket, so I'm like 1%, 13% of whatever it is of the nation, whatever it is. I was correct. Not put money on it on FanDuel like one of my buddies did, and he came out with some decent pay, and I did not. So. But I got the right thing on my completely broken March Madness bracket. But
he put 10 to get 100 or
something like that. It was some pretty good odds.
He put 100.
Well, then you would have had like 1,000. But also, beforehand, you're thinking a
they
giant.
They took the fat dub.
They did take the dub. In retrospect, yes.
They took the fat dub.
But
big upset.
It'd be tough. Putting $10 compared to $100 is definitely.
You always look back at these and you're like, dang.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. But that game was tough against NC State. Watching it, if they got cold, they couldn't get a bucket in overtime. It probably was a little bit of legs. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah,
long game.
I'm sure it is.
And they just they couldn't get it going. And NC State had a very large big man that was definitely giving problems. He was a really big dude. He was quite the force, and I think that also didn't help with them being a little tired. They had to deal with that.
Deal with that monster.
And that's also energy sucking, having to guard that for a long period of time.
Yes, it is.
But yeah, and I guess looking at this as Michigan, I have not been a fan of Juwan Howard's coaching of Michigan basketball. No. It's been pretty frustrating, at least the last couple of years, and especially after this year, him getting fired after having a system, a basketball, well, I guess the worst record ever for this program. There you go, program, and
terrible.
Having I think it was 9-24, I believe, and that was just not good.
That's terrible
for a big brand. 10. Yeah, Big Ten, big brand like us. A big serious school that
9-24, dude. You're like the Pistons.
It's not great for basketball right now in Michigan. Michigan State still they always are very solid. Shout out to Tom Izzo.
Yes, they are.
But
shout out to his son.
I saw that. Steve Izzo, I think his name is.
Yeah, little Steve. Just being big, get the bucket.
Yeah, bench guy that they threw in.
That's something cool about him though. Compared to Juwan is Mike's not just like, oh, my son's just gonna start. He knows what his son is. He's there to give guys rest. That's what he's there for. Juwan was like, you can't teach my son how to do
this. Yeah, I heard that story. Yeah. Anyways, Juwan Howard, luckily he's no longer
out the door.
Part of he was former great of Michigan, but we're just gonna leave you there and we're gonna act like you weren't coach. Now, getting Dusty May from Florida Atlantic.
Dusty.
He is, a lot of people are really happy with this hire. I think I can be in that group. He led the Florida Atlantic to the Final Four in 2023 and in 2024.
Heck yeah.
Going to the tournament again. And his win percentage over there was 82%. So, we're talking about a guy that was winning.
How to win.
Built a program over there in Florida Atlantic. Now,
if he's doing that to a Florida Atlantic, like you're saying,
right?
What can he do with Michigan?
Right.
This guy has huge potential to be helping Michigan become something really good right now.
Right. And I want to say this right now. It's going to be a process. Next year is not going to be an overnight thing. Because I'm not going to lie, our recruiting is probably not going to be very great. You can't, you're going to have guys decommitting likely because of how terrible this year was. It's an honest truth. You know what I mean? And it's not something I want to say.
Do you think
something
players
I
will look at our new coach hire and want to maybe play with him now?
But if
he helps out that, you think he helps divert less decommitments?
If you are, let me say this. Let's say you are a outside of lottery, late round. Right now, you're looking at like your prospect in your class. You're around 20 to 30, like 20, 25. Let's say that. And you have offers from Michigan. You have offers from, let's say, Kentucky, and let's say North Carolina. And you're looking at this higher, yes, great, but after this year. Or even then you can look at some other great programs like Villanova, stuff like that have solid programs.
Yeah.
Are you really gonna take this Michigan team? Because I mean, if you fall, you could really mess up your draft stock past, into the second round. Maybe it's really bad and you fall out of. I mean, Amoni Bates went from a top guy in his class
but
to.
Amoni Bates went to.
He went to was it not Memphis? Was it Memphis? I can't remember which college he went to.
It wasn't a D1 college though, wasn't it?
I think it was a D1.
Was it?
Yeah, I think he went to his a hometown or something. Maybe it wasn't hometown. I don't remember a whole lot about that situation. I just remember him going to Eastern.
Yes.
I remember that. And I wanted to go see him, and I never did. But that's not about this point. It's just there's definitely falls of grace that can happen, and it's tough for some, or even high guys. Do you really want to risk your potential when you know you can go to a better program?
Right.
Michigan State's a better program, right? It is, and it has been.
Yeah.
Tom Izzo is a great coach. I am a Michigan fan, but I will definitely give props to Tom Izzo and Michigan State's basketball.
Tom Izzo there, yeah.
And I just don't know if I would go to Michigan over Michigan State. I don't think I can say I would at any level where I'm at. You know what I mean? If I was a prospect, I'm putting myself in the guy that you're looking to recruit.
Yeah.
The only thing you can maybe say is if their recruiting class for Michigan State is very good and you don't think you're going to get minutes, so you go somewhere else to get higher minutes. That's the only way I think that really. But hopefully, like you said, Dusty May brings in interest. But at the same time,
you would think so if he's been making it. And
I hope that happens, because if it doesn't, Dusty May is going to have to do a little bit of a rebuild of this program, start building up a good reputation again, and then we can get the guys.
He could probably do. Seems like he can do for sure.
But even then, Michigan isn't always.
Howard was just
always bad.
Terrible.
Yes. Now, Michigan also hasn't had the most insane recruiting classes, and that is a thing that hopefully May can overcome.
Yeah.
Like that is.
Even
yes, we've had at one time. We've had a Mo Wagner. We've had a Jordan Poole on this that roster.
Yeah, but so Jordan Poole wasn't really that touted.
Those guys are later first round picks. Proper coaching can make these guys have some great college careers and also can have some good college success in making the tournament.
Oh, another one I think that we had, Duncan Robinson.
Duncan Robinson, yes, that was a part of that team as well.
Yes.
And so we're looking at that, and we're just saying, it's definitely a possibility that this team could have a big upgrade, but I just want to be very clear. If it's not an instant thing, don't write off Dusty May. It's not exactly the best situation he's coming into.
It was like Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes' first year.
Right.
You know what I mean?
You gotta kind of fix things up a little bit.
You've got to set the ground first.
Yeah. You can't, and of course it's a little different. There's not really a cap, you know what I mean, in college basketball, but there's still reset. You
can't put a house on top of sand.
Right.
You got to put a foundation in first, you know. So.
And I think Dusty May's the guy to put a foundation down. I'm definitely more confident, at least with what I've heard of him, and I've heard a lot of great things, and I'm confident in him way more than I can say I am of Juwan Howard.
Oh yeah.
And Juwan Howard, I want to say, because this didn't make it in the last podcast, Juwan Howard struggled as a coach on the court, and he struggled as a person on the court. That's when he slapped that other coach, whoever he did, after that one of the games. That's something that is just... I don't know how he still had his job after it. But then this year was the final nail in the coffin, and then he's gone. Yay for him. He got to fucking coach his son at Michigan. But besides that, he just wasted good classes. I mean, Franz Wagner was on this team.
Yep.
I mean, Jet Howard was a top lottery prospect, low or late lottery prospect, and now you're looking at, I mean, you did nothing with it. So even if you had a good team, what were we doing here? I don't know. I've seen a few decommits that I can't remember the players. That's on me for my lack of prep on that. But with that being said, I'm excited for this new wave, and we got new coaches in Michigan now, as we got the Jim Harbaugh leaving, and now we have Juwan Howard's absence, and now new guys that can step up. One's in house, of course, in the first football side compared to the
Florida Atlantic.
Yes, but very exciting, and hopefully this means good stuff for the.
I hope so.
The future of the Michigan sports program.
Yep.
And yeah, well, I mean, I think we're probably gonna wrap this up here at a pretty solid podcast. Let us know if you have anything that you want us to really talk about.
Right.
I mean, there's a lot of stuff that's coming up. We definitely always have things that we want to personally talk about. But
always just some stuff that pops up with like head coachings and new rule changes.
Right.
Stuff like that for sports. Tigers hitting it off.
Yeah.
New stuff's going on. We're going to do a new little time of the year, going into summer. Spring is just starting, so.
Yeah. A lot of baseball. Playoffs for hockey's coming up soon. Depression ensues for Pistons.
Maybe the Red Wings as well if they don't make it.
Yeah.
Red Wings got to make that. They got to fight back now. This is a can't lose territory now. So you got to.
Right.
It's all gas from this point on.
Right.
You got to string some together. You have to. You got to hope some other teams don't.
Mm-hmm. It's definitely rough.
That streak killed us.
And unfortunately, Larkin went down at a bad time, and also the team went cold at a really not a great time. Didn't really exactly recover from it the best, even, and having a rough game tonight on the 28th. It's not something that you really need right now, and big games we're not winning, and it's the most important guys that we're in the race with we're not beating. It's not a good thing right now.
Yep, the Capitals. They passed us.
Yeah.
We're kicked out.
Yeah. And now we have to make up some serious ground, and we don't have a lot of time to do so.
No, we don't.
So we are getting close to the playoffs. We really hope that we can get Brett back on here to talk about the first playoff series in a minute. We really want that to happen. Let's go Wings. Original 6, baby. Original playoff series in 2024.
Come on. Let's do it.
And the Pistons, I mean, when we get closer to the offseason, we're definitely going to talk about that. Right now, it's just really bad, and there's not much. I mean, there's guys are getting shut down.
People are out.
Yeah, there's not a lot to talk about.
Shut down.
It's like it's getting close to the point where this season's basically tank off, and we'll get the first odds, and we're not going to get the first pick again. So
yeah.
We're gonna have fun with that.
Excited to see that again.
Draft lottery. We should do a live reaction. Maybe do a live stream or something. That'd be fun.
Last time it was terrible.
Yeah, that one. Like I just left. I left the room. I we got the fifth pick. I left. I just dipped. I was like, nope, we're done. We're done. And I just went and I was depressed. Could have had a lot of guys, and maybe I could have helped a lot with this season. First things first, I do want to say prayers out to Asar. Blood clots. It's very serious.
Yes.
We want the best for him. Young guy, off the court. Anyways, does not need to be dealing with this. And that could also, I mean, that's a serious issue if not taken care of. Luckily, Brandon Ingram had that taken care of. He had blood clots a few years back and treated it early, and he's been great since. Hoping a similar story for Asar.
Yes, get better soon, man.
Because that's also, I mean, he's set up for great family and generational wealth. So if he can't play as long, that's hurting things off the court for him.
Yes, it is.
But we'll have to see about that for sure. And
talk more on it later.
It'll be very Oh, we're going to have a lot of fun talking about the Pistons in this offseason because we have a lot to fix. And maybe it's with the firing of one general manager. No. But anyways, with that being said, thank you guys for sticking with us. We have a lot to talk about, and we're so excited for more stuff. And once again, hopefully we can cover some NHL, bring Brett back on for this playoff push. But anyways, guys, have a great day. Stay safe, and peace.